7 people have been confirmed dead at Kakamas in the Northern Cape due to the heat wave. The deceased are believed to be farm workers in the area. 4 women are among the dead. The South African Weather Service continues to urge people to steer clear of direct sun and stay hydrated. But then again, are there enough awareness campaigns on the dangers of the heat wave? For more on this, we're joined now by energy expert Dr. Roland Ngam. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I suppose just to explain what happens to the body during a heat stroke would be imperative as we begin this discussion.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Over the past few weeks, we've been witnessing El Nino conditions, which has prevented rainfall and moisture in most of southern Africa. And the consequence, obviously, has been rising heat conditions in many areas. And the sun rises very early, and people start feeling very, very hot very quickly, and this causes a lot of dizziness, dehydration. Sometimes people have difficulty recollecting things and so on, especially the older people. And so a lot of this really is what led to what we've witnessed in Kakamas.
So how then should one be monitoring their body to ensure that they are not falling victim to such a really, really heat-related illness that has now resulted in loss of life?
Well, the South African Weather Service is obviously sends out alerts every day, but unfortunately people do not really pay attention to those, obviously, because it happens almost every day. And so it really falls on provinces, provincial governments, radio stations, etc., to start issuing more alerts. I think South Africa also needs to start using a humidex index more frequently, and workers' unions as well need to start playing a role, because very often people do not feel that things have changed, but then like we noticed in Europe this year, where 26 people died during the heat waves, it can get very, very serious.
Dr. Ngam, you happen to be an energy expert as well. Considering how big energy talks are, where should we be placing the climate dangers in the overall priorities of the country?
Yes, and so we have to understand that the weather is heating up, and about 3 degrees in Africa and Southern Africa, more than the rest of the world. At the same time, due to things that we've witnessed at ESCOM, it is very difficult to pump water and so on. And so people are finding difficulties getting water. At the same time, people are also finding it very difficult to keep themselves cool because fans are not working, and so on. And so there are a lot of things at play here.
Now, speak to us perhaps about South Africa's geographical location in relation to the global climate challenges. How much of a threat are these extreme weather patterns to a country such as South Africa?
Yeah, due to South Africa's position in the global geolocation, temperatures here are warming at about 3 degrees faster than the rest of the world. At the same time, we also have the El Nino conditions happening, which is causing air surface pressure to heat up very quickly. And what that does is it really sucks down all the cool air that comes from the tropical areas. And because of that, it really causes the heat conditions and very little rain to fall.
Do we have enough systems in place to counter these weather patterns, or at least minimize the impact? And of course also just looking at what would be in store as we perhaps look to the coming years.
Well, minimizing the impact, I suppose really what we need to do is to have more health communication messages. The Southern Africa Weather Services needs to communicate more, but obviously SABC radio and TV stations need to communicate more. And I think that is really what we can do at this stage, because it is really a global effort to reduce CO2 emissions, and South Africa on its own cannot do it alone. It is a global effort.
And what's in store looking at the next coming years?
Well, I can say that over the next few weeks, temperatures in northern South Africa are going to be in the upper 30s. It is going to be about 2 months before they drop. And South Africa is obviously going to go into another drought phase very slowly. And so you're very right to shine the spotlight on this issue because we need to start communicating a lot more on the dangers of heat waves. And as we saw in Europe this year, it is not something to be taken lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for weighing in on this discussion.